Shoot. Okay, guys, we're gonna go on mute this text, all right? I'm gonna quickly go through, just hold on a second here. I'm gonna go through our sound checks here for anyone who's joining us just here is saying hello. So it started recording. So Jay, I know you're good. Shelley, I know you're good. Hi, Valley.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, and you're terrific. And Jeff.
G'day, 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 good afternoon and welcome.
You seem to have an accent, but okay.
Yeah, no, I've been working on that for the whole morning, so I'm glad it's working. Great.
I think you nailed it. All right, great. So we are on screen at this point, and everyone here is being heard. So I'm going to go ahead and just put myself on mute. I suggest you do the same, and then we should be in great shape. I'm going to start I'll come on once in a while for some announcements, and I'm going to share the screen. Okay.
Yep.
Just confirming with my panelists, you're seeing just the slide, correct, on your screen?
We're not seeing anything now except us. Also, for some reason, your chat is huge as far as the font. I don't know if that's on your end or my end.
That's on your end.
It is. Huh. I wonder how to fix that.
Mm.
Let's see if there's a way to change my font size.
Now you're seeing the screen, folks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we
I don't see the chat though.
Okay, so Shelley, you have to go to the poll, like the little place where you did your stop video, all that kind of stuff, and just click on the chat and drag it out of that box. Like just click on it and drag it out, and then you'll have a chat box separate.
For some reason, I'm not seeing how to change the font size. Anyway.
It's not dragging out for me. Oh, there it is. Webinar chat.
Yeah. Now, will it just be us seeing the chat, or will everybody see the chat?
Well, down at the bottom, I've got clicked on hosts and panelists.
Yeah, but so you, well, no, what I'm saying is I've got to set the settings universally. So let's just make a call. Typically what I'll do is I'll have attendees can chat with each other. It makes for good dialogue. You guys good with that?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, but my font is just ridiculously high. I have no idea why it's doing that, but it's bizarre. Anyway, I'm not worried about it.
Okay, folks, I'm going to have us go back on mute. All right.
Somehow my camera just got lost. Any idea why?
Shelley, just on the same place, same bar where you grab the chat box, just click on where it says you stop video, it looks like. See something that says stop video and it's got an X through it. You want it not to have one. Or a line through it, I should say. You seeing it, Shelley? You're on mute too.
You're muted.
My webcam says it's on, but it just automatically turned off. I didn't do anything.
If you look on the menu bar for Zoom, you're saying that you see where it says mute, stop video, participants.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm in that. I'm in it. It says webcam. My actual webcam shows that it's on, but
Yeah.
it's not displaying.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is if you look at that little bar, there's a place where it says stop video. You're telling me there's not a line through there?
There is. It won't.
So click on just that button, the stop
I-
video, not on the drop down.
I have.
Oh,
I have.
there's an arrow just to the right of the icon.
I know.
Okay.
I know. Maybe I need to get out and come back in.
Yeah, try that, Shelley. That might work. Okay, folks, I want to welcome you to the Lessons of Top Gala and Auction Professionals to Elevate Event Engagement Fundraising Results webinar brought to you by Arreva and MaestroSoft. We will be starting shortly, and as you can hear, we are live right now, but we will be recording everything today, and I'll be giving you a little bit of a warning as people filter in. We have a very full house today, and people are joining as we speak. So just letting you know, if you are logged in and you're hearing right now, feel free to drop a note into the chat box. Let us know where you're from. This will be very interactive. We'll be talking more about that. But again, we'll be starting in just about 5 or 6 minutes right now. Thank you.
There we go. We got Shelley back.
Okay, but still not on camera, right? It looks like we lost. There we go. All right, we see you, Shelley.
I know, there it goes. Nothing like restarting, right?
So we've got people joining us from all over. Even have someone here from Argentina, you guys. So
I just saw that, Laura.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. All right. Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to this exclusive webinar, Lessons from Top Gala and Auction Professionals to Elevate Event Engagement and Fundraising Results. We'll be starting in just about 3 minutes, and people are filtering in, so some of you will catch this. I'll be doing one more announcement before we start, but just to give you a little bit of housekeeping and details right now, just to let you know, there is a chat box and a questions box. I think most of us are used to this by now. But if not, look on the menu bar of your Zoom control panel and feel free to engage and chat. Let us know where you're from. Let us know if you have questions. What would you like to hear about today? What would you like to ask us? You'll have an opportunity to participate throughout, but let's go ahead and get the ball rolling with that. Again, we'll be starting shortly. The entire session will be recorded on demand, but the real fun is engaging. It's going to be that kind of session. So please stay with us all the way till the end if you can. And we're just about 2 minutes away. So I'll be giving an official announcement and you'll be introduced to everyone shortly. Thank you. One last sound check. Jay, you good? Looks
I'm
like
good.
Jeff dropped off. I think we're gonna be okay. Jeff, you on?
Yep.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Your camera is not displaying. There it is. Perfect. Okay. All right. Awesome.
Don't worry. I'm
There's a
here.
wonderful face. All right. Perfect. All right, guys. Okay. Hush up. I'm going to start in just a second here. Okay. Welcome, everyone. We are prepared to start now. I'm just going to do a very solid introduction so we can get a good solid recording, which is my way of letting you know that this entire session will be recorded, be available to you on demand, and be sent out to you afterwards. That being said, please stay with us till the end. It's going to be a very engaging, very interactive session. But know that you don't have to take notes if you're not that type of person. Everything's going to be here. You receive the slides, etc. So with that, welcome to Lessons from Top Gala and Auction Professionals to Elevate Event Engagement and Fundraising Results. This is brought to you by Arreva. I want to go ahead and get us started today. And I'm going to let you know that first off, we're just going to go ahead and talk a little bit about what's in store. And I'm going to do that here momentarily because I lost my screen. Okay, so we're just to give you kind of a quick rundown. We're going to do welcomes and introductions to the folks that you see on camera here. We're going to hear from you. We're going to talk about the lessons, and we got a few surprises in store for you as well. So I'm going to use most of our time to engage and just go ahead and start our introductions to our experts who've been waiting patiently. So one, I want to just, welcome everyone who's here today as our experts, but I'm going to turn to the expert on the left, Jay Fisk, who is author, professional benefit auctioneer, MC, and fundraising event expert. And I could put down a bazillion more things on all of these beyond what's already there, but I only had so much space. But just really a great resource for you. So Jay, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce the folks that you've gathered for our attendees today.
Well, thank you, David, very much for putting this all together. I am so excited that we have put together 3 additional resources to join our panel today. I've been involved in benefit auctions for 33 years, and as both a benefit auctioneer, consultant, and also the founder of MaestroAuction. And so when I heard we were going to have a chance to put together this webinar, I thought, well, I've got to engage some equally competent experts that I've worked with before, we have a relationship with and trust very much, but I wanted them to be regional, because what we do on the West Coast, and I'm based in Seattle, what we do on the West Coast may or may not necessarily be appropriate or what they do in other parts of the country. So I reached out to my good friend Shelley St. John in Colorado, and I said, would you be willing to be a panelist? She says, absolutely, you bet. And then Valley Adams and Jeff Cowan are on the East Coast, and they're terrific professionals and very experienced as well. And they've agreed to join us. So it's wonderful to have them as panelists. I think for our audience, you're going to hear probably some validation of things that you already know, and you're also going to hear some new things that you had no idea that you should know, and you're going to hear them. And you're going to hear them from these wonderful experts. So I'll turn it over to Shelley now and let her do a little introduction.
Hey, y'all, I'm Shelley St. John. I'm based out of Denver. I work all over the country. I am a professional fundraising or benefit auctioneer, and I also do live on-stage crowdfunding for group events, large concerts, and large festivals. And I've been doing this now for nearly 18 years. I've done over 750 events. I raised about 138 million, which is just a touch of what is going on out in our world and really what our world needs. So I'm so glad that you're all here. If you walk away with just 1 or 2 tidbits to make your event better, to raise greater revenue, and really to support the mission that you're working with, it's all worthwhile for this next hour and a half. So thanks, Jay. Thanks, David. And looking forward to being here with Valley and Jeff.
Valley, you're next.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Valley Adams. I'm so honored and proud to be here. And thank you, Shelley. Thank you, everyone. And Jay. And it's just very exciting. I also am a author, a professional benefit auctioneer, MC. Sometimes they even call me a mistress of ceremonies. Very proud to have the female title and female auctioneer as my title and background. I'm also the CEO and founder of Edibel Solutions, which is a consulting firm. I'm based in Florida, here in Tampa, Florida. I do also travel extensively all over the United States, and I support nonprofits and have been supporting nonprofits for over 15 years. I love, my passion is nonprofit organizations, and as I say, helping the helpers. That's what I love to do. And one of my biggest, I guess, who I am and what I represent is in both auctioneering and events, as well as consulting with clients, is the importance of the mission. I really believe in and support. We're so proud to always represent our mission. Our auctioneering team, we do over 200 events a year. And we become one of the team. We become a member of the family, a member of the mission. We engage with every part of the organization and mission, and we're really proud to do that. And we work with the staff, the volunteers, even donors, and really just are part of creating everything for your event, for your organization, from head to start, just kind of leading the show and doing all that we can to support you and your team to have an incredible mission-based fundraising and engaged event. So thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. You're up.
G'day, everyone. My name's Jeff Cowan. I'm a partner of Valley. There's a few of us in this group down here in Texas, but we do travel the country. I'm Brian, so there will be subtitles. I hope, David, on the bottom so that everyone can understand me. But I too am a benefit charity auctioneer and MC. I guess first and foremost, we're fundraising events consultants. This is all we do. We're completely immersed in it. In fact, I say to my clients all the time, particularly when I start, I say my ultimate goal for any event is that every single guest leaves that event understanding what they've been a part of. They've understood the mission so well that they've ultimately spent more money than they intended to, because they now know what that dollar can do. And that's really important to us when it comes to Output Enterprises, is to make sure that our guests leave that event understanding what they've been a part of. And I don't want them waking up the next day with buyer's remorse. In fact, the exact opposite. I want them waking up the next day feeling invigorated by the fact that they've given more money because they now know what it's going to do. Part of our chemistry, I guess, with any of the groups that we work with is just that, immersing ourselves in the mission, getting to know the people behind the mission, getting to understand where that dollar is going to take the greatest effect. So I'm really looking forward to this. We love your interaction. I've been looking at all the people that are chiming in from across the country, and really looking forward to this interaction, because we want to learn from you as well, because I'm sure there's things that you guys have seen, that you guys have learned, that we may not know of. But I'm looking forward to any sort of questions later on in the show. Thank you.
And the questions are already flowing in. We noticed on the chat that they're already asking questions. So David will take us through some of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And I put that out to everyone in your chat if you didn't see it. Questions box is best for questions. Chat's good for back and forth for all of you. But thank you, everyone. Though they may or may not say it, these are the top Gala auction, fundraising professionals out there. And as Jay mentioned, from happenstance, they're coast to coast and beyond. So we're in great shape. I'm going to go ahead and move us to the next piece, which is really about what we were just talking about, is hearing from you. So what I want to do, and by the way, I should introduce myself. I was there in the lower right corner below the experts, but I am Chief David Jost. I'm Chief Marketing Officer for Arreva. I'm the moderator today, so I'm going to keep things going. It's going to be really kind of a free for all of great stuff, and I'll be bringing that together for all of you and fielding your questions. So share your questions, your insights, your comments. If you see something, what's always great about the chats on these is everyone's sharing stuff back and forth. We'll be prompting you for some things, but just keep it going. It's really going to be great. The questions box is best for questions, because then we can kind of track that, respond back to those in order, because I have, market professionals on our team responding back too on some of the more, tangential questions there as well. So what I'd like you to do to get us started in terms of flexing those participation muscles is we're going to just go ahead and put up a poll, which you should be seeing right now, which is talking about which fundraising events does your nonprofit do? And so you could choose as many as you want. And just so I can get to the end here, the final one is all of these, but we've got auctions, we've got galas, dinners, golf tournaments, we've got run walks or other, I love this, or other a-thons. Put anything in front of it that you like to. And then anything else that falls into that, because this is by no means everything that you possibly could be doing. But I would love as many people to participate. And just so that you know, so you don't have to listen to me as much, I will keep going on right now until I see a good 50 to 60%. So we all get great info. So if you haven't chimed in, go ahead and do that. I'm going to do a 5 count down right now and give you your final chance to weigh in, but 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I'm going to share this this poll with our I'm going to end it right now, and I'm just going to share it so we can kind of see what we've got there. So you should be able to see that. Now let our panelists kind of just react to that. Any surprises, anything look as it should or as you'd expect or not?
No, one thing's for sure is that since we've come out of COVID, everyone's just happy to get back together again. So I'm happy to see the galas and dinners are on the uptake, and certainly auctions in general. Because it is it's one thing that I think we've all appreciated. If COVID taught us anything, it taught us that we should have done more while we could have, and I think our guests are reacting to that for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Anyone else have any thoughts on what you're seeing up there?
I'm curious on what the other fundraising events are, because that's kind of interesting. But I love the galas dinners. When I look at, there's more galas and dinners than there are auctions. So is it a gala and dinner with an auction or no live fundraising? I'm curious about that as well.
So Good news is we have an app for that. The chat box, go ahead and folks, I'm going to put that out to you. Thank you, Shelley. Let us know if your fundraising event was in the other category. What was it? There's probably some really creative things out there. And we're also going to be paying attention to where you are at when you let us know, because we see some differences geographically that we'll be talking about with our panel here. And then likewise, if you are, if you're in the other athons, there's probably some interesting things there, from dance-a-thons to whatever-a-thons, right? So I'm going to keep us moving. We're going to go to the next piece, which is also kind of interesting. What I'd love to see is looking at that same question that we just answered now. When are you having your fundraising events? And again, you can choose as many as you want, or you could just drop to the bottom and put all year round. Spoiler alert, that's going to be an important part of our conversation. It's not one and done, so I'm going to let you know, but let us know what you're doing right now. Granted, we're in very different places. So, kind of the traditional summer, fall, spring, winter, don't weigh it on what the weather is outside right now, because it's always very, very strange. But we're getting a lot of great answers here. If you could just give it a final, bounce into that and let us know if you haven't answered yet. I'm going to count back again from 5, 5, 4, 3. Bunch just came in now. It must be the number. Everyone waits for 2. You guys like the fight or flight. Okay, and 2 and 1. We're going to end this one, and I'm going to share the results out to what we have right now. If you didn't get to answer, let us know.
No surprise here. There tends to be counter-cyclical, fall and spring, and then golf tournaments summer, and then in the southern states, golf tournaments in the winter. Love it. This is exactly the experience I think most of us have seen.
Okay, great. I'm going to keep us moving then to move on. So now that you've heard from our panelists, they've heard from you, do not stop the engagement. And I don't think I'm going to have to say that again, because I see so much flying in here. I can't even keep up with it. But on to the really good stuff, right? So these are, I'm just going to tell you, this is going to run the gamut. And some of it's a lot of it, in fact, is going to be based on what you're doing in the chat. If you let us know, what about this? What about that? Here's something we're doing. We're going to react to it. Don't worry about if we haven't seen it right away. We'll also have a session at the end where we bring everything together. So first off, we're just going to be, having our experts kind of run through. There's much more they could share, but give you a tip of the iceberg on key insights, emerging trends, tips, actionable strategies, and again, from their experience. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started with the first, let's call it a lesson. We're not, we're letting you know we all are learning lessons. We're always being, moving forward. And if we weren't learning lessons, the last few years have really put us all in a place where we had to learn lessons. So let's talk about that. The first one is, remember, you are running a business, not throwing a party. I'm going to go ahead and take that and turn it over to our panelists to take it from there and keep weighing in. I'm going to go over to the question box.
Yeah, I'm going to tee us up a little bit. I think all of us have experienced a very well-meaning volunteer committees that say, hey, let's throw a party and, maybe we'll make some money at, excuse me, really the wrong approach. You have to kind of decide, are you in the fundraising business or not in the fundraising business? If you're in the fundraising business, then you want to make it a business. And by business, we mean handle it professionally. That means have a plan, have a goal, just put together milestones, all of those sorts of things that you would do if you're running any sort of a business. And sometimes I'll get a little pushback from committees because they'll say, well, no, we just want to have fun. We want to have a big party, and we want it to be empowering. We want to bring in everybody and have everyone have a great time. And I have to remind them that, look, it's not, they're not in competition. Having a fun party and having a well-managed business is not at all counter to each other. In fact, if you think Disney, one of the best run businesses in the world, and by the way, it also is the happiest place on earth, as they like to tell us. So it's not, they're not incompatible. In fact, I'll maintain that your guests will have more fun if they're involved in a well-managed event than one that sort of looks like it was thrown together by the Little Rascals on the weekend. So I'll pass it off to I believe Shelley, and talk a little bit about the 5-year plan and setting goals.
Well, that's exactly right. A nonprofit is really just like a for-profit business. It just has a tax status, right? And for-profit businesses are run very tightly so that they stay in business, so that they generate revenue and they meet their goals, right? So when I think of building a plan and achieving goals, we really ask our clients, what is your number one goal? And I owned a marketing company for 20 years before I became an auctioneer, aptly named Primary Objective, right? And so even in the beginning of my career, nearly 18 years ago, I would ask, what is your number one goal? And I would hear, like Jay referenced it, it's we want people to have fun. We want to thank our donors. We want to honor volunteers. And for us, when we're planning an event with a client, those things are a given, right? Everyone should be thanked. Everyone should be valued. Everyone should be honored. But if your number one goal is fundraising, then you need to keep that goal first and foremost in your mind. It doesn't have to be tacky. It's not in your face, but there are many strategies and tactics that lead to better fundraising. We did a research project years ago, and it says that we have 2.5 hours to get to all of the things we need to do at an event before people either physically or mentally check out. So building a plan as to what you're going to do in the first year, in the second year, in the third year is going to help you market to, attract, and maintain donors year on year. And every time a new donor or a new attendee comes, it's another opportunity to get them deeper involved in the mission, deeper involved in whether it's volunteering or fundraising. So set your goals, develop a plan, and then get your entire team behind what it is you're doing so that everyone's singing from the same hymnal and they're working toward the same goal. So I know you guys have thoughts on that too. So I'll throw it back to Valley or Jeff.
Yeah, I know Jeff and Valley are going to chime in on here for sure.
Hit it, Valley.
Sure. No, I mean, I absolutely agree. I think part of everything that we do is we have to strategize. We have to plan. I know every client that I talk with, especially on the event side, my very first question is, are we having a party that you hope to raise a little bit of money, or are we having a fundraiser with a really great party, right? And if it's the second one, we're having a fundraiser, then that's our plan, right? And to strategize and create that plan, like your business, of making sure that a culture is set, the culture of giving is set from the very beginning of that plan is key. And also for me, I know a lot of what we talk about too with our clients is, you know, what comes after the event, right? Like Shelly said, you're setting up the event, you're setting the plan, you've got a first, second, all the way up to a 5-year plan. Well, what should be included in that is what is going to happen after the event. And quite honestly, I believe that after the event is just as important, if not more, than leading up to the event. Because now once you've created this amazing event and you have this engagement and you have fundraising and you have entertainment and you've really shown your mission and connected with the audience and the community, what comes next? That really should also be a part of your plan, right? So are you announcing at your current event next year's date? Are you announcing the chair for next year? Are you recognizing the current chair and announcing the next one? Do you have a donor and attendee thank you plan? And yes, like Shelly said, everyone talks about that and has that, but what does that look like? Like, are you following up with your sponsors and donors? Are you personally dropping off a photo book of the event and asking them and thanking them how they're going to get involved and stay engaged with your organization after the event? You don't want it to be, I think Jay said, one and done. Like, we definitely don't want to just have this great event, work all the way up to the event and then nothing, right? So how are you creating this annual engagement and involvement with your attendees, with your donors, with your sponsors, with your volunteers that helped you? Are you inviting them to other events that you're hosting throughout the year? Are you recognizing your sponsors year round? A lot of times I'll say to clients, so is your sponsorship deck or plan, is it only for this event? Do you offer an annual partnership and sponsorship deck that can engage your donors and your participants and your sponsors and your volunteers year round. So I think these are all really great things to think about as you're building your plan, not just leading up to the event, but also what happens after and how you're keeping that engagement and mission focus year round. In my thoughts.
If I could jump in here real quick, if you don't mind, Jeff, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step
You
in.
go.
Real quick. Part of the plan is raising money from that event after the event. Now, how do you do that? You do that by making sure that when you invite people to come to your event, as part of the registration process, you ask them if their employer has an employee matching program. Because if you get that information before they attend your event, then it's much easier to get their help post-event in getting those post-event matching gifts out of their employer. If you don't ask that before the event, they're more likely to not respond to you after. But if they've already told you, yeah, my employer has a matching gift program, then when you reach out to them after the event, they're more likely to help you go through the HR department and get that additional money. And that could be another 10 to 15% added to your event total post-event because you took the time to ask them prior to the event.
Absolutely. Look, I also want to touch on the fact it says there the sell your mission early and often, right? I can't tell you how many events I've been a part of where for the first time and the guests have approached me afterwards to say thank you. This is the first time I've been coming to this for 4 and 5 years, and the first time I've truly understood what we're doing on the night. And that's so important. That means that mission, I said that at the very beginning of this, is that's so important from your point of view, the messaging for the night. What is the direction for the money? What are we going to do with the money? And I think that goes back to the whole idea of this ongoing support and ongoing feedback to the guests that have been there is like, hey, guess what? On May 21st, when we had that amazing event, we said we're going to do this money. This is what we've done with the money. And this is what we plan to do next year. It's so important to make it, really focused and very much received by the guests, understand what they've been a part of. The other parts of this is that I am 100% guaranteed. And you can imagine with all the clients that we work with, there's some pretty sobering missions out there, but I can guarantee you this: if the guests are having fun, they're going to spend more money. And I don't mean necessarily drinking, right, guys? Because a lot of people find that, the drink is the key. And that's not necessarily the case, because I'm all for a guest having a drink, but I'm not necessarily a big fan of drunk bidders, because they're the ones that come back on Monday and said, did I? No.
Right.
This is why I want to make sure that when it comes to having fun, it's so important to work that in. And that's part of the skill of bringing in a professional to be able to conduct the evening in such a way, because there will be times to bring the room back. There will be times where you have to elevate it and make it fun. But one of the biggest things right there is to make sure that people leave understanding what they've been a part of, because I can promise you, if they have, they're going to dig deeper than they anticipated, but without that remorse that I spoke about before.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%, Jeff. We say that 1.5 cocktails is perfect before the fundraising begins, right? Anything more and they get into that iffy phase.
Their
That's
world narrows. The more they drink, their world narrows.
Yes, absolutely.
It becomes more what's happening around their chair rather than what's happening in the restaurant. By the way, the pictures of this event you're looking at is one that raises over $10 million a year. They've been clients of ours for well over 20 years. Their first event raised about $100,000, but because they never went out of business, and because they had a 5-year plan, and because they stayed in business 24/7, 365. They've grown that event from $100,000 20 years ago to $10 million per year now. And you can see there's 1,700 people there at T-Mobile Park. That's their event, 1,700 people. So we put that picture up there specifically because we wanted you to understand that if you don't go out of business the day after your first event, you do it year round, you can grow your business year after year like any other business.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to keep it moving, folks. This is great stuff, and this. I'm glad that you mentioned the organization that is raising that money. They built a sustainable sponsorship machine, which is a whole other topic as well. It's just great. Back to Valley's point. I'm going to keep us moving. I'm going to also let everyone know, because there's a plethora of questions. So as I'm switching to the next slide, I'm just going to let you know: 1, yes, we're recording this. Yes, We are going to provide the slides to you. So, that's all great. If there's something on a slide or something here that you want to ask about, put it in the chat, put it in the question box, ideally the question box, because when we come back to the end, we're going to hit all of this. Keep the information coming about the events you're doing. When we get to the questions and answers as an incentive to stick around, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a rapid fire, and maybe I'll need the auctioneers to help me to get this all out of my mouth, but there are so many things to share. We're going to try to share as many of these in just kind of a quick bit of a rant, right? So that's great. So here we are on lesson 2, and this is get professional help. I'm sorry, I chuckle when I look at that. So let's see what this is really all about.
Yeah, when we say get professional help, we don't mean that you need professional help because you agreed to be the auction chair. Okay, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that, look, if you're going to run a business, any business, regardless type of business, you want to deal with professionals. If you're flying in a commercial airliner, you want to know the person up there in the, on the flight deck is a professional flying that airplane, not a private pilot up there. You go to the doctor, you want a professional doctor who specializes whenever it is that ails you. You want, your best accountant to understand the tax laws and so forth. So if you're running a business, think about professionals. You want your sound to be done right. You want your lighting to be done right. All those sorts of things. You want, professional caterers and so forth. So I'll turn it over to Jeff and let him talk a little bit. I know these are sort of some of his.
Look, and much like as Valley was saying when she spoke to our clients about what was the purpose of the event, one of the first things we always speak about is who's our AV partner. Because as the old saying goes, guys, if our guests can't hear us, we can't get their money. And that's the bottom line. And I know that we're always very sensitive to budgets. Budgets are so very important. And I know with nonprofits, that's what you're always dealing with. But unfortunately, if you start to cut corners on AV especially, it's going to cost you money. And I can say conservatively, tens of thousands of dollars. I've been in rooms where the potential was there. It was right there for the taking. But unfortunately, because the AV wasn't there. And that's why you bring us in, right? I mean, this is all we do. We only do benefit charity auctions. We're not cattle auctioneers. We're not car auctioneers. We're not antique auctioneers. You bring us in to take care of that side of things. You bring in AV to make sure it looks and sounds good, because it's not just, think about this too. It's not just on the night, because of course, that's where it's going to have the greatest efficacy, is right there on the night. But you've got assets that can be taken from that event to be shown throughout the rest of the year, on social, on your posts, on updates about that gala. So really important that it looks and sounds really sharp. But I would say without a doubt, there's one of the biggest things that a lot of people think. They think, oh, there's a band, we're going to use the band's AV. No. Okay, because at the end of the day, the band's set up for a dance floor. They're not set up for a wide, expansive room with the guests. Really important.
Hey, Jeff, your comment just came through the comment box but professionals are way expensive. Actually, amateurs are way expensive. The problem is with amateurs, you don't know how much it's costing you. It's costing you bidding. It's costing you by what you're not earning, and the sound. If people can't hear, they're not bidding. The problem with a volunteer auctioneer, quite honestly, is you've got a variable fee. You just don't know what the fee is until you figure out how much you didn't earn. So
right. And also, like Jeff said, and I'm going to piggyback off that, Jay, is that, again, this is what we do full time, right? We work, we see, we learn, we're engaged with hundreds of events per year, hundreds of organizations. We see what works and what doesn't work. There is a special sauce. There is best practices. There's a flow. There's a strategy for what we do and how we do it and how we raise money. Look, there's a way to appeal to your audiences. There's a way to entertain your audiences and to keep their attention. And ladies and gentlemen, there is a way to ask. There is a way to lead up through that bid from the heart, appeal, paddle raise, whatever it is you call it. There is a way to do it. And although you might have amazing and incredible board chairs, event chairs, and like extremely dynamic local newscasters, they might be amazing speakers and they might really know and support your mission, but they don't know the special sauce. They don't get to practice it day in, day out, week after week, like a professional does. And I just think that that's really an important thing to think about. And if you're going to lose money or not get let me rephrase that. If you're not going to get money, if you're going to leave money on the table because you're not hiring that professional to help you with that
Yeah.
special sauce, that strategic planning ahead of the event, that day of support, that, you know, helping manage and steer the ship from the stage and throughout the entire event. If you're not going to utilize that and there's money left on the table, did you lose money? Ask yourself that question.
Yeah. I want to throw something out here just as moderator. One, I've got a prompt here, but I'm just going to give it a free for all on here. I love this question. The professionals are too expensive. And, you know, and they come to the rebuttal that so
I'm
is
gonna
not working
jump
with
in on that.
professional. But
I'm
yeah,
gonna-
so
Go
That's
ahead.
our hot button.
yeah,
You've
so
hit
I'm
a
just
hot
gonna
button.
say, and this is great because I'll tee this up for you, Shelley. All right, so this is great. Let us know, because people who have not worked with a professional and then have, or people who have worked with a professional and said, let's not work with one the next time, are the best source of this. So let us know in the chat. Go, Shelley.
So I want to give you an example. When I hear we're too expensive, even I've been reading in the chats, and there are a couple of things in the chats from the beginning that I want to cover in the same situation, which is we're only doing a silent fundraiser, and our volunteer committees are just are harming our goals and our strategy. What you're talking about is putting all of the pieces of a puzzle together, and that's what a professional does. So in an example, I'm going to say, let's say there's someone out there who has been doing fundraising events for 30 years. Let's say they have done 2 major events a year over the 30 years that they've been doing this. Lots of little events in between, but we're just going to count the 2 major events. That's 60 events, right? And so they base their planning on those 60 events. Well, the people in this room right now, I've done 750 events. Jeff and Valley do 200 events a year, and Jay has done a gazillion events in his 30 years. So we have really learned the victories and the benefits, and what we recommend is not because it's what we want personally, it's what we want for you, because we've seen what works and what doesn't. So people say it's too expensive to hire a professional. And I'm just trying to give you an example of how the fear of fees are keeping you from reaching your goals. Because
let me wrap this up. Let me wrap this up, Shelley, if you don't mind, so we can move on, because we could the 4 of us, I know, could talk about this all day. But it's not so much what the professional does when everything goes right, it's what the professional does when everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect example of that.
Just like the pilot, right?
The perfect example of that is Sully Sullenberger, who landed in the Hudson River with a plane full of people, and everybody got out alive. He wasn't paid so much because he knew how to fly the plane from point A to point B and have an equal number of takeoffs and landings. He's paid because when he's not going to be able to land at an airport, can he get everybody safely on the ground or safely in the water? That's why you're professional. And I'm not just talking about auctioneers. I'm talking about your sound, your lighting, and so forth.
For everything. Yeah.
All you want professionals across the board, because it's not just what they do right when everything's going well. It's also, can they handle
Absolutely
things that come up that only experience helps you get out of a jam.
Yeah.
And that's where professionals come in. Anyway,
I'm going to close it up here because I can't even keep up with this, but read the chat, folks. Take a look at what's going on here. There's a whole separate webinar that's answering all these questions, but I will tell you a couple of little tidbits. People are weighing in. They're using professional auctioneers that are helping, that work only with nonprofits. And then they have a parent who's an MC. You can have both. You look at this, have them, engage folks. You don't have to say we have to make this person the auctioneer because they're on the board there, whatever, right? The other thing is that you've got people who did share examples of they've worked with someone that wasn't a professional auctioneer, and then they've gone the other direction. So I'm going to keep us on track here. We will be answering and talking about these things throughout. So as you ask, continue to ask whatever's relevant to you. And now we're going to come back to something that is everything, strategic planning. And let the group kind of chime in here. I like to say I'm the moderator. We've got experts here, so you guys just run with it. Okay, so.
well, it's just, Shelley likes to talk about strategic planning. I basically just say, look, if you don't know where you're going, any path will take you there, right? And usually not where you want to end up. An auction needs to be choreographed. It is a choreographed event. It is not just something where you have a dinner and, oh, by the way, we have an auction. No, everything's done for a purpose. Everything's done on time. You literally storyboard it out. If you have a minute by minute plan, you focus on it, you test it. If you do that, you'll have a well managed and well attended and well profitable event. Pass it on to someone else on this team.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You've got to plan up front, and oh, my video just left again.
That's
Sorry,
okay.
at least you've got a picture.
got
So it's planning. It's looking at every possible scenario, right? Just like you do a marketing plan for the other part of your nonprofit, you need to do that same marketing plan for your event from every different perspective. Right. And one of the things in the comments was about committees and how to get committees on board. Well, when you have a strategic plan, you can then create roles and responsibilities for all of your committee members, right? And the more they know about what's expected about from them, the more they'll stay with you, the more they'll be committed because they know what is expected and what they need to accomplish. So I know that Valley and Jeff, they do big parts in strategic planning. We all do it. We just talk about it differently. So storyboarding it out, having a really tight run of show, having a production manager that is making sure all of the pieces and parts are working together is just key.
Yeah, look, we refer to it as our runner show. And I think Jay just touched on it, a minute by minute runner show. We all know that the show's only as good as the rehearsal. We set up meetings 10 weeks in advance with each of our clients. We have meetings on the 10-week, 8-week, 6-week, 4, 3, 2, 1 week leading up to it. And we do a wrap meeting afterwards. Why? Because we want to build on our success. We're not just going to rest on our laurels. One of the things about this, in fact, I saw Courtney Jackson put in there about the committee and how do you get them engaged, the ones that are maybe not so good. That's why we want to be part of that group. That's why we want to be immersed in that mission, is we want to get to know the people behind the whole group. And what ends up happening, to your point, Courtney, is tapping into those different committee members and finding their skill set, finding out what they can do, having a conversation with them so their minds start ticking over. Who knows someone with maybe a holiday house who might have some connections with a restaurant for an auction item, those types of things. But really important that we have that minute by minute runner show so people know where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, and for how long they're supposed to be there for. Very important to have that. And literally every one of those meetings that we have, starting at the 10-week, even though it's such a fluid document, right? It's going to be changed consistently. But on that first 10-week meeting, when we start 10 weeks out, is we start putting together that roadmap. Why do we put the roadmap together? Because to Jay's point, it's a live event, guys. We all know things are going to change, and that's why you bring a professional in, because we can adapt. We all know how we're getting from A to B. It may not be necessarily the way we drew it up, but we still know if there's any changes or adaptations that we need to make, we'll be able to think on our feet and make that adaptation in order to get us to be successfully, and most importantly, very memorably for the guests as well.
Right, Jeff. And just everyone here, I mean, would you ever go into a meeting or a big donor, opportunity without planning, without creating a plan and knowing exactly what you were going to do and how you wanted things to flow, and whether it's an event, again, sticking with that business model, planning ahead is super critical. As we're talking about fundraising events, right? Knowing your room and planning that, helping to create that culture of quality versus quantity. Are you having donors in your room, or are they just eaters and attendees, right? Knowing your audience, right? Who is your audience? Are they there, right? Obviously, that's all part of the plan. It's all part of the team coming together. Knowing how are you going to set up a successful bid from the heart, ask, paddle raise, live appeal. How is that going to be set up? How are you conveying that mission of your organization? So like Jeff said, everyone in that audience knows who you are, what you do, what your impact is, and why you do it, right? So setting that strategic plan from the very beginning and making sure that all of that, whether it's the donor, knowing your room, knowing your attendees, knowing the run of show, knowing your mission ask, your impact, all of that, and making sure that strategic plan is a part of every part of the event, the beginning, the middle, the end, the before, the after, not just the ask that night. The strategic plan is.
And a couple of wrap up comments here. One is that because you're going to do that strategic plan, and because you're going to do that minute by minute, and as you know, Jeff said, you run a show, time it out. If someone's supposed to give a welcome, you need to have them give the welcome to you ahead of time, not just say, oh, I'm only going to talk for 3 minutes. Because once that person's got the microphone, 3 minutes to them might actually end up being 10 minutes and may feel like 30 minutes to the audience. And now you're completely off kilter. Now your whole plan is out the window because that person who was going to talk for 3 minutes talked way too long. So actually have that person give that talk ahead of time. Well, I'm only going to talk for what's your talk? Give us a talk and make sure it fits within your timeline. And the other one is the contingency planning. You must plan what happens if something goes south. I could tell you horror stories of events that just had very terrible things happen, and because we had a contingency, we were able to work things out. You know, for example, you're going to do an outdoor event. What happens in case of inclement weather? Do you have a tent for people? Do you have umbrellas for people? You know, what about what happens if you're checking people in using the internet and your internet goes out? How are you going to check people in? Do you want everybody standing outside the building and they can't get in because you're waiting to have your internet reconnected? Have a contingency plan for worst case, and then things will continue to run smoothly. So there you go.
Yeah, well, let us know about your, you know, we're all in this together, we're all with you for good. So let us know, you know, what kinds of things have you had that are unexpected. Those are always great stories to let us know you're not alone, but also let us know how you, you know, saved the day with a contingency plan, or how you learned a great lesson from that for the next time.
I like Katie Kucher's comment, everybody. Having an auctioneer is truly priceless addition. It's been a game changer. Thank you, Katie.
Absolutely.
I'm going to keep us moving because I've promised multiple people on my own on the chat. We're going to be trying to rattle off a bunch of this. So we're going to hit that. We're going to go to the next one, which is kind of all encompassing. Lesson 4, run a remarkable, engaging fundraising event. Okay. And, you know, what is this all about?
Well, basically, it's all about guest enjoyment, isn't it? It's about, I mean, the reason you invited them is to entertain them. And while they're being entertained, as Jeff would say, you want them to give you more money, right? So having a remarkable, engaging fundraising event is the key to making that happen. If they feel like you're just performing open wallet surgery on them and they're not having a good time, then that's, you know, that's not going to work. So show them a good time and they'll reward you. You don't need to drag it out of their pockets. They'll pull it out for you.
And fun does not have to be expensive, right? You don't have to bring in the you know, Elton John to entertain.
Right.
You just have to run a well-planned, well-executed event. And Jeff said this earlier, and we believe this completely in our team, is if they're not laughing, they're not supporting, or they're not spending. So
Absolutely.
keep it light, keep it lively, and continue to connect with your mission. We call the mission part of it creating donor magic, because when a guest really understands what their part or their support of you does in your organization to fulfill their mission, they're going to walk away feeling better about themselves, but connecting to that mission all the way through. So we have our clients take dollar amounts, 100,000, 50,000, 25,000, 10,000, and give us 3 bullet points on what those dollars can do. And then we have them intermix those throughout everything during the event, way before we ever get to the ask or to the paddle raise. So people know what $100,000 does. It will fund, you know, 78 girls for college for 4 years. It will feed 692 homeless people for 14 months, whatever that does. But we're really paying attention to how people think, learn, and what inspires them.
Yeah.
So keeping that mission forefront when you're laughing, when you're having a good time, when you're sharing a meal, is really important to teeing up the part of the work that we do in terms of auction and ask, because then people are prepared, they know where they want to be, how they can actually help. And that is creating donor magic.
I'll give you a daunting statistic. You know, when we're working a room and we have a live auction, we work with a stat that 90% of the room aren't bidding. You know, 10% of the room are bidding in the live auction. Now, our job is to have those bidders bid high and bid often. But equally important, maybe even more importantly, is keeping the 90% engaged. You know, keeping them entertained, keeping them thinking about, hey, this is not your regular run-of-the-mill auction that we're here right now. We're having fun. We're understanding, as Shelley said, understanding what our dollars are doing. But then we keep that momentum going into what we call that mission moment, that opportunity where we have that, you know, let's call it an Oprah moment, that aha moment, right? Where people suddenly realize they weren't interested in buying anything in a live auction. They didn't have the funds and ability to be able to do it. But guess what? During the paddle raise, and if you're not doing a paddle raise, I highly recommend it, right? Because
Absolutely.
it's the easiest money and the freest money you'll make all night long. And all you have to do is just set it up correctly. You know, there are 5 different keys that we see for a successful paddle raise. First and foremost, that everyone coming knows that there's going to be an opportunity to give in the way of a donation. Number 2, that mission moment itself. What are we going to have? Is it going to be a video? Is it going to be someone speaking about the mission itself and how it's impacted them? Number 3, pre-commitments in the room, people who we know are going to set a tone in that room and raise their paddle and show everybody that we mean business this year. Number 4 is absolutely have those connected dots. As Shelley was talking about, making sure that everyone understands what a dollar will do. And of course, the 5th one, have it fun. We always have a fun element at the end of the paddle raise to make sure that everyone gets involved and everyone has a good time. And at the end of the day, we've collaboratively made this huge profit right on the end of the night. So definitely do your paddle raise.
So we've got lots of things coming in. If you want to make sure your question is part of the Q&A at the end, I'm going to run through as many as I can, throw it in the questions box. I'm going to move to revenue enhancers because we've kind of dabbled into a few of those. And then we're going to be spending a lot of time covering a lot of what we've already covered to your questions. We all good with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Perfect.
Yep, definitely.
Okay. So here we go with our revenue enhancers. It sounds very fancy, a revenue enhancer or a booster, right? So I'll go ahead and turn this over to you guys.
Yeah, the
So
first one was Shelley's.
Oh, good. Well, reoccurring giving is my favorite of all favorites. So many organizations have recurring donation programs, right? But most of them do not get as much traction as most organizations would prefer. So when we do our paddle raise, depending on our audience, depending on the number of people in the room, and of course, we have researched all of that and have a greater understanding. When we get to the paddle raise down to the $250 range, before we ask for a one-time $250 donation, we ask people to turn $250 into $6,000. So $250 times 12. And if we do not get anyone to buy on $250 a month for 12 months, we go right into the one-time $250. We do the same thing at $100 before the one-time 100. And when we hit on reoccurring donations, we typically get 4 to 6. And if we don't, it's not stale. No one skips a beat. We do the one-time donations. And then we also go down to the $50 level, but only ask for that in a reoccurring donation. And it's amazing because we have raised an additional up to $48,000 for one event just in reoccurring donations. So it's something that many people don't do. It needs to be planned and executed properly, but it can increase your revenue anywhere between 10 and 30%.
Great. Next item.
Last gift wins is sometimes called last hero. There's a bunch of other names, but basically I think this is what Jeff was referring to before. At the end of the raise the paddle, everyone thinks you're done. I always ask 3 questions. I always say, did I miss anyone at any level? Is there anyone who'd like to make a donation of any other amount? And my last question is, would someone like to match everything that we just raised? And that, by the way, is a laugh line guaranteed, because everyone in the room will chuckle, ha ha, funny auctioneer. He thinks somebody's going to just match that $50,000. About 10% of the time, someone will actually do it. I've had it matched for $250,000 at one event. So if you don't ask, you don't get. But But beyond that, we do a little game called Last Hero where we have a special gift. Sometimes if it was appropriate, a bottle of bourbon or something like that. It could be a nice bottle of wine. It could be a gift certificate for something. But we say, we're going to give somebody in the room to be our very, 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 very last donor. And all you've got to do is put your paddle up one more time at $50. And if you're the last one to put your card up at $50, I'm going to give you this gift. By the way, if someone puts their card up after you, we're going to give you a receipt for your $50 donation, but only the last person holding their card up is going to get it. And it goes around the room and around the room. 106 looks like you're last. Actually, you're now in second place because 214 is now last. And then what we'll do is we'll bump the number up. Well, maybe somebody would like to be last at $100. Maybe somebody would like to be last at $250. And we'll pull another couple of, anywhere from $500 to a couple $1,000s out by playing this last donor game. And it's just a lot of fun. The audience really gets into it. And it puts a really positive spin on the fact that we're there to give money.
That's great. I don't have bump music, but I'm just going to keep us moving through these. So what's the
Anybody else
topic?
want to
What's the description? And then when you go through it, you guys, we'll come
value.
back to them in the questions. Valley?
So wait, which one? There's one on here that I think we had talked about, the golden paddle. I don't know if that's maybe not on there, but that's one of my favorites that I just will talk about real fast if I could.
Please do.
The golden paddle is a great revenue enhancer, and it basically allows guests to purchase it's a raffle, and it gives them the opportunity for whatever amount, as long as all of your live auction items wouldn't exceed the amount of money that you would raise through the raffle. For example, if you have multiple live auction items and a client says to me, look, I know we're not going to exceed 10,000 on any of these live auction items. And there's a number too. This always works well when there's a number of live auction items. You could sell 100 raffle tickets for the golden paddle at $100 and very quickly and easily raise $10,000. Then right before I do the live auction, we draw the winner. The person gets presented with a golden paddle or a golden, donor, whatever. And then they get to select one of the live auction items that's included. Obviously, you could be selective if there is a live auction item that would potentially go for more than 10,000, that could be excluded. That didn't have to be included, but they get to select one of the live auction items being the winner of that golden paddle before the auctioneer auctions it off. And so it's a very quick way to generate a quick extra 10,000, or if you, depending on your audience, if you can sell 100 tickets for 200, 100 tickets for 250, obviously go for it. And it just depends on what you have. So
I'm going to jump to Dessert Dash because I think a lot of folks know what that is, but we can talk about it. I'm going to turn it to Shelley or anyone else here, but there's a slash gallon of milk. These two seem to be very interesting. I heard this from Shelley.
A good dessert dash is very sweet. Haha, pardon the pun. But dessert dashes are amazing because the desserts that you get donated, but to have a couple of add-ons with those desserts, and I think Jay, you have one too, but whoever is buying the desserts, we always have at least 1 gallon of milk, and that gallon of milk typically sells for more than the desserts do collectively. Right? I think the most I've gotten for a gallon of milk is like $5,500 because people have this tall stacked chocolate cake and they really want to dig into that, but they can't do it without some chilled milk. So, but Jay, I think you have some ways to do that dessert dash too.
Yeah, we do. Well, a couple of variations on dessert dash. One is to have all of the desserts donated, one per table. And then we have each table fill out a form with donations on how much each person at the table would be willing to donate for their table to go first to select any of the desserts. So you pass this form around each table and one guest puts down $10, somebody else puts down $25, whatever. But ultimately it ends up averaging somewhere between $200 and $400 a table for their table to be able to have the honor to go first. And then we read off in descending dollar order, from most generous to least generous. We call out that table and tell them to go over and get their dessert, pick their dessert. So everybody wants to be first, second, third, or fourth to get the best desserts. And I always say, if you got 20 tables, have 22 desserts, and make sure that 2 of them, one is a big bowl of lime jello, and the other is a plate full of Twinkies, because the guests will the guests will never add up how many desserts are there versus the number of tables. They'll just presume the last two desserts are the Twinkies or the lime jello, so it helps them enhance their generosity, shall we say. But ultimately, everybody gets a good dessert, and then they have runners. They go pick up their desserts. It's a lot of fun. It's a madhouse. But
Let me,
that dessert dash has raised as much as $10,000 at an auction.
Let me throw my hat in the ring. I saw a
Yeah.
question there from Britt saying how many is too many. You know, you don't want to have your guests feel nickel and dime, but at the same time, what's really, really important, like I was saying earlier, not everyone's in the market to buy a high-end live auction item, right? They've come along, they've been invited along, they want to contribute in some way, shape, or form. So when we say raffles, I love a limited ticket raffle. A limited ticket raffle, why? Because number one, you've got an item that you're not really sure how we can make some good money from it. Say, for example, a jewelry item, that's pretty tricky in a live auction because it's very personable. But if you put it up, say a $2,000 piece of jewelry with 100 tickets at $50 a ticket, that's $5 grand guaranteed, right? And really easy, because a couple of things about this. Number one, people think they have a chance if it's limited ticket. Number two, as the MC and auctioneer, we can count it down. Guys, we've got 30 left, 20 left, 5 left, 2 remaining, it's gone. You can have some fun with it. Do the drawing at the very tail end of everything. So you've kept everybody where we want them to be until we want them to go. And ultimately, you can have them all come up. You can go have like 2 runner-up prizes that may not have any rhyme or reason to the grand prize, and have the 3 people come up, draw a bag instantaneously there in front of them, and then they can go ahead and pull out their prize. The limited ticket raffle is really important for all people of all levels of affluence in that room to be able to contribute to the night.
Yeah.
I'm going to share with everyone here. I'm going to kind of run through these, ask for just a line on it. We are sharing a recording out here. There's no way we could be tapping into full descriptions of everything. All of these are going to be listed here. I'm going to kind of run through them real quick. Also, I'm going to just let you know right now that just because this was meant to come up a little bit later, but we're going to, you know, from an Arreva standpoint, we're offering a free consultation on auctions, gala, fundraising events, you know, and just year-round fundraising. And it is not a sales pitch. It is a piece that just allows you to be able to, you know, to ask all kinds of questions. If there's one you want to know more about, and also during that session and elsewhere, we are able to direct you to any of these resources if they just really, you know, kind of struck a chord with you to be able to engage with them for your event. So please just respond to this. It'll be up on the side. I'm going to leave it up for a little while here. Okay. And we'll kind of go from there. So through here, I'll just put it out here. We've got mobile bidding. You know, it's come up in a lot of different ways. We'll talk more about that, but this select the right options, auction items, you know, go ahead and share on that.
It's a matter of knowing your audience. It's matching your audience. It might be wonderful that you got a terrific $10,000 villa somewhere that you get donated, but if you don't have people in the room that can spend $10,000 on a villa, it doesn't do you any good. So when you're thinking about who you're going to invite, the same people you think you're going to invite are also the source of people that you're going to look for auction items, because you want to match your items to your audience. You want to make sure that people that are coming can afford the items that you're going to be trying to sell. They're not disconnected at all. So very, very important to do that.
We're going to hit another point that talks a little bit about some of the technology, and we'll answer those questions as well. We've talked about not one and done. Not putting the virtual genie back in the bottle. I could just kind of talk about that broadly, and if you guys want to weigh in, I mean, you know, everyone was just absolutely chomping at the bit to get live, but just be sure whatever you're doing, if there are ways to do things virtually, way to leverage the technology. Everyone's become better at everything. I mean, how many of those of you out there actually knew what Zoom meant other than an old educational TV show prior to the pandemic? So don't lose the big benefit, which was reach, impact. You're not limited by the size of the venue. Okay, so I'm going to take everything and move us forward to the next piece here, and just let you know the questions and answers are just ahead. There's a bonus lesson that I'm going to run through very quickly here, which is leveraging the right partner and technology solutions for galas, auctions, and year-round fundraising success. And to just let you know that we're going to actually, this is extended. It's going to go to at least 3:15 here, right? And we'll, if you can stay on, please do, because we're going to have some giveaways. Jay, why don't you talk about what you're going to be drawing for here at the end?
Well, I happen to be the author of the Big Book of Benefit Auctions. It's on many, many shelves and nonprofits around the country. And we're going to give this book away to one lucky person who's still here at the end.
All right. Anyone else have something? Go ahead and speak in now. I know, Valley, you're an author as well, but if you want to just give a plug for your book, it's a great read.
Sure. Yeah, it's not regarding auction. It's more empowering and inspirational books. I have An Empowered Life, and it's 10 inspirational stories from women around the world, as well as Yes, I Can, which is 16 success secrets from inspiring women around the world. And I'm happy to give those away as well.
Okay, so the stay to the end, you'll be eligible for that. And that's your incentive to listen to my quick message here, which is just, we've been serving nonprofits for 3 decades, actually more than that. We work with so many of you out there. I'm glad to see lots of our friends and to make new ones here. I'm going to leave that at that, at that, and let you know that what we do is, we are all inclusive. We have MaestroAuction and Arreva company. Everything through Arreva is about integration and bringing everything together, because the things that Jay and everyone else was talking about not one and done, and to be able to do that, you have to be able to bring things into a single unified database and then leverage that to engage with all kinds of ways throughout the year. There's also the the modules that you see for just about everything we've talked about, things for walkathons, runathons, like team fundraising, peer-to-peer fundraising, and lots of solutions that are there as well. Again, you'll have the deck. You have the opportunity for, if any of these are things that strike your fancy, we can talk about them during the demo and consultation. But again, that could be 5 minutes or an hour. It's up to you, really. And again, it's not a sales pitch. Everything should be mobilely optimized as it is with us. And MaestroAuction has a plethora of solutions. We kind of talked about them. The resource here, is about trying to provide the expertise. That's great. Working with professionals in technology for your management of your auction, technology for virtual, silent, live auctions, etc. I think someone's hitting the button here, but text to bid, mobile bidding, text to fund, mobile donations, live auctioneers, consultations, etc. Again, all optimized. And when we come to the professional services, Jay, I'm going to turn this to you to let you just speak to this, because this is not what you'll see out in the marketplace combined with some, siloed solutions.
Well, our philosophy is very simple. The best auctioneer in the world can't fix a bad plan. So you've got to have the planning, and that's part of the consulting. And you have to have a professional who can then implement the plan. And the 4 of us that you see on the screen here, all available to you, depending on your event and location, time and schedule availability, and that sort of thing. But if you'd like to reach out to any of us, we'd love to talk to you about your event. And I will guarantee you this: no matter who you choose, if it's through our company, we're going to make sure that you are not going to see that person for the first time the day of your event. You're going to see them early and often, because our success is measured in your success.
Great. And, I would tell you that, in addition to everyone here, with MaestroAuction and with the way that we're working at it, we're working with top experts. If you're working with someone we work with, that means that they've been vetted, approved. We're going through the process. They're the best of the best out here, and they've taken time out today because that just shows you how dedicated they are to the industry. So again, thank you for that. And now with that, I would love to hear, I'd like to run through the questions. And if you don't mind, I'm going to just I'm going to do a real quick run through the chat of some of the things that are out here. So panelists, listen, and just sort of a grab bag here, from where you're at. So I'm just going to tell you that, we have had things from the very beginning. So I'm just going to make sure that as I go through this, I try to capture some of these as I get past the hellos. But we've had people ask, how can I attract donations for auction items? How can I get larger ones? Don't answer yet, but people who are coming in from different places who are saying, how do you re-engage volunteers to help you with your auctions, your events, reinvigorate that whole process afterwards? How are you able to, then we have people with lots of cities, and I can't give the shout outs there, but they're from everywhere. Some people who are looking at this and saying, they've done great things, like our gala includes a silent and live auction, both gala and auction, live auction and silent, sporting clay tournaments, comedy night, trivia night events, gala with auction, breakfast, lunch fundraisers, trivia nights. I see common themes: concert with live auction, endurance charity team, cabaret. Oh, these sound like so much fun. Facebook fundraisers, virtual turkey trot, diet for our can't see what that says. Diet for Dravet. Oh, that's our disease state. Okay. And when you're looking at this live fundraising, lots of things there that you can see. Scroll through the chat, Giving Tuesday things, T-shirt fundraisers. I've skipped some as I go through here because I scroll faster than I talk. And then lots of people, I'm just going to tell you, we gave you the mix on the auctioneers. People are using so many different things. Question on how do you capture the gift with the paddle raised? How do you know who raised their paddle? Can you explain what your definition of carefully crafted mission is? And, you know, I'm continuing to move through these. By the way, just to let you know, we had a lot of questions about the event. I've got to give a shout out. One of those is done by the Costco Guild in conjunction with MaestroSoft. It's for the Seattle Children's Hospital. I believe I have that correctly. And then there's Boys and Girls Clubs of Coachella Valley. Great organizations, but you can do it too. People love these chats here, and I'm going to stop with that. And then I'm going to say anything there that someone is just burning to jump on it from our panel.
Yeah, I want to talk about how do you capture the raise the paddle. So the way to capture the raise the paddle is not having a bunch of recorders, volunteers in the room, looking around the room, writing down what they see, because they're going to miss some. My recommendation, and the one that I like, not a plug for the software, but out of the software, we have a form, and the form shows all the different denominations and has a column below each denomination and a running total in that denomination. I have 3 different recorders that have their head down, going by what they hear on the speaker, not by what they see with their eyes. And when the auctioneer says, who'd like to help us out at $10,000? 106, thank you. 214, thank you. 316, thank you. They're writing down what they hear. And I've got 3 different recorders recording at exactly the same time. The reason is I want to be able to bring those 3 forms together, lay them side by side, and be able to do an audit. Because if they're all writing down what they hear, not what they see, each bid number will be in exactly the same place on the form. And if somebody has missed a number, the other 2 will have picked it up. Or somebody had a dyslexic entry. They wrote down 116 instead of 161. It'll be obvious because you have an audit trail. So the best way to do it is to have multiple recorders all writing down what they hear, not what they see. And then you can compare them. That's how I would do it, and then move from denomination to denomination. Jeff, may you want to jump in, or Val, you may want to jump in, or Shelley.
Yeah, I'll jump in on one of the other topics that David brought up, where someone's asking about how do we get the right type of auction item in the room. And what I'll say to my clients all the time is that they know their guests better than I do. However, there's obviously set ones that I know for sure are going to work, because here's one: everyone needs to eat, right? So a dinner donated somewhere from a restaurant, believe it or not, there's a magic number. If you can get it donated for 12 people, multiple courses with wine pairings, that's the way to go. That works really well. But when it comes down to Alpine Enterprises, when we're working with our clients, that's why we start the meeting so early in the process. We start that to get in with the committee and start those conversations and say, get their minds together. Who knows who's part of a company that might have a suite at some stadium that could maybe give us the suite for a concert or for a game. Who has access to a vacation home? Who's got miles that they could donate for round trip tickets on an airline? Those types of things. It takes conversations and get people to say, oh, actually, hang on, I do know someone who has that sort of contact, and start those conversations and make sure that we can really tap into the resources.
Yeah.
And I saw a question too on there about like enhancing the auction items. And I think to piggyback off what Jeff was saying too, we not only do we ask who has these things, but when we do have something secured, that it's about creating the experience, right? Everyone might have tickets to a sporting event, but then how do you create a priceless once in a lifetime experience? Are you able to go back and say, okay, great, we have a suite for like a game, a hockey game, a baseball game. Okay, well, could we get a meet and greet with one of the players? Could we get one of the players to come to the suite? Can we throw out the first pitch? Can we get a ride on the Zamboni? Can we do a tour after hours? Like, so creating, how do you enhance an auction item is to dive deeper and think, what else can we add to this experience that someone can't get regularly, that creates an experience, a once in a lifetime opportunity?
We had someone ask about the names of our presenters again, just to get their details. They're all listed here. Again, we can refer you to any of these. And then we're on the consultation. You can ask any questions. One I'm going to tell you right now came up was, do you have any referral for professional event planners? And I was going to say, besides some of the folks on this session, absolutely. But we can ask we can address that. There are experts right here that have referrals, that are experts themselves. I'm going to switch to the question box because I'm going to reward the people who went over there to ask, because it's a lot easier for me to scroll through, and we will again be open. If you did not get to answer the poll about signing up for one of the demos, it's no big deal. Just drop it in the in the chat box, and we'll make sure that we contact you, or in the question box. What about this advice for reinvigorating volunteer recruitment for galas and auctions? Now that we're in a different space.
Well, I think that reinvigorating is reinvigorating the entire event, right? I read a couple of different things about committees and volunteers, and really it comes down to really managing the expectations of those volunteers. Many committees that I've sat on, some of the volunteers have been doing those events year on year on year, and they have a specific way they do that. Mm-hmm. And then the leadership sometimes wants to bring in some new ideas, right? Yeah. So it's really, how do you present those ideas to get those really solid committee members to get on board with you, right? And so looking at the personalities of who are those longtime volunteers, how can you engage each one of them to get behind your new ideas, right? Because a lot of times it's generational differences, right? You've got baby boomers that have been doing it for 20 years, but your audiences may be turned into millennials, right? And so it's really looking at what is going to engage whom throughout the process.
And I would say make sure that you are also using a software. And again, this is just a little bit of a plug, but whatever that is that captures your volunteers and all their information, what their interests are, because then you can have a very proactive reach out to them. I have a question here I'm going to run through. Again, I'm just going to put it here because we're going to run out of time and we won't get to all of them, but short form answers. You guys honor your run of show piece and we'll kind of hit that. Virtual digital silent auctions can be impersonal, but handwritten silent auctions can be difficult to track and maintain momentum. What are you to do? Any tips to make digital silent auctions more personal?
I don't think you can make a silent auction more personal because it's silent.
The thing to remember is a silent auction by paper is item centric. A silent auction by digital, by mobile, is guest centric. And that is that you must go to the item to bid with paper bid sheets. With mobile, the guests can be wherever they want to be. They can be to their friends, and they get a buzz on their phone says they've been outbid. It's like having an electronic concierge saying, hey, you've been outbid, you want to bid again? They just hit the button, they bid again. So it actually is a little more user friendly, if you will. It's a little more social. If you use digital bidding, because you don't have to be anchored over or hovering over the bid form and elbowing people out to place a bid. You can be wherever you want. And in fact, you don't even have to be in the building. You can open up if you want, you can open up the bidding to people that are unable to attend your event with mobile bidding, or you could start the bidding 3 or 4 days early, which you couldn't do with paper bid sheets. So ultimately, mobile bidding, I think, is the future, not paper bidding, because
and Jeff and I too, I mean, just to make it a little bit more personal, whether it's paper or mobile, but most are mobile at this point. We're constantly, we're ahead of the game. We're calling out, we're shouting out, we're drawing attention to the silent auction. We're pointing out specific, we're looking at our mobile bidding. We're there at the silent auction and we're saying, ladies and gentlemen, have you seen this? Have you checked this out? Look at this incredible item. Oh my gosh, the bidding is actually rather low. You might want to get in on it. So we're drawing attention to the silent auction. I don't know if that creates it more personal, but it definitely makes it more visible and engaging and kind of brings people to it. So, well,
the digital part streamlines it, right, Valley? It allows you to be able to see in real time what's happening, and then you can add your personal element to it. So that's great. It's inherent. There are ways to do that. Here's a question as I'm kind of looking here. So if you're Gala,
David, I could tell Jeff wanted to say something about that.
I just wanted to say something, guys, because we all work too hard. And I'm talking, I know it's rich when it comes from auctioneers and benefit auctioneers, because this is how we make our bread and butter. But I can assure you that our heart is in the right place. We all work too hard to get those donors and supporters in the room to let money slip through the cracks. It's like investing, right? You got to spend money to make money. Mobile bidding, make sure that you are going to. The old saying is, we ain't got the money till we got the money, right? And we put way too much time and effort into an event to then at the end of the day be doing a paper chase and maybe not getting that money back. So it's really, really important that you invest correctly. I can assure you, because all these things too, Valley, they can sponsor these, whether it be mobile bidding, whether it be AV, you can have sponsors that can come in and sponsor it. And hey, presto, you've got an event that is going to be incredibly profitable.
We still have lots of people on. I'm going to give it 2 more minutes of question. Jay, if you want to answer this last question, anyone chime in, but just then we're going to move to the next piece and kind of tie everything up to let you know what's happening. So stay with us. We'll do the drawing, for those who are already here. What's your
Well,
opinion
I'm
on
going to reiterate something, if I might. And that is, many people have said they do silent only. For anyone who's doing silent, I really encourage you to do something live. It doesn't have to be a live auction, but a live ask. You will always make 2 to 3 times what you ever dreamt of making silent when you open it up live, because you're talking about silent engagement. Silent is silent. Even though as auctioneers, we do talk up those items, there's still passive fundraising. People will bid on them if they choose. But in anything live, we are leading the audience down a path. We are inspiring them. We're touching their heart in order for their head to make a decision to support. So add a live component, whatever you do, in any silent thing that you're doing, whether it's virtual or in person, and you will see your fundraising increase 30, 40 or more %.
There's no better way to kind of bring it to a close. So I'm glad you chimed in with that, Shelley. Thank you so much on the questions. I'm going to move us forward here because we still have a lot of people on, but I want to just honor that we did that. We could go on and on and on. And remember, we're here for you. Even if you didn't get to us, reach out to us, go to Arreva.com, go to MaestroSoft.com. We want to thank you for all of that. We're going to tie it together with final thoughts, okay, for each of you. But I'm just going to let you know one here, just so that you're aware, if you love learning and you love things, that Arreva and Nova Southeastern University, which has a major philanthropic and nonprofit management program, are doing a national summit coming up here in July. When you're done with this session, it's going to link you right over to register if you're interested. So I'm not going to go through it, but take a look at it. I know we're all junkies for this stuff, right? So I'm going to go ahead and go back to our panelists here, and I'm going to thank you from the standpoint of Arreva, and for joining us. I know you all took time out of your busy schedule to work with us. I want to thank the experts. You guys, are definitely very big on the giving personally and about getting the giving. So it's great. I'm going to turn it over to Jay to kind of say his final thoughts, and or to share it out to the team here today, and then we'll bring it back for a close. Everyone will be receiving a PowerPoint, will be receiving a follow-up email, sharing out the recording. And again, we'll be reaching out to you if you've so indicated, and probably just gently reaching out to say hello anyhow. So I'll turn it over to Jay.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you that are watching for taking an hour or so out of your day today. I know you always have other things to do, and the fact that you felt strong enough about our capability to come listen to us is very much appreciated. I wanted to thank you for that. Also want to thank Shelley, Valley, and Jeff. Love having these terrific professionals on our panel. I learned some things today listening to them. I know that you all learned a lot as well. And I want to encourage all of the listeners to reach out to any of us. If you want to talk to Shelley about something specific, or Valley, or Jeff, or me, we'll connect you with any and all of us for one-on-one. Also, if you had questions in the chat or post webinar, if you have questions, we're more than happy to answer your questions one-on-one to take care of your specific needs. We could not possibly get through all of them today, but hopefully we've stimulated enough thought process for you to know that you do have resources. And so please, by all means, let us help you. With that, I'll turn it back over to our other panelists, and I'll thank you personally for joining us, and I wish you well on your events.
Thank you.
Great. Shelley.
Thanks, everyone. Boy, it was amazing to be here. So many questions. It was great talking with you. And like Jay, I learned a lot from Jeff and Valley and Jay, as we always do when we connect with our fellow professionals. Get out there, plan, execute, and let's change the world one event at a time.
Perfect. Valley.
Thanks, everyone. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you all for being so engaged. I love all the questions and the comments. And again, we're all here to learn from each other. We always share, like, is there any really new ideas? We're all just kind of sharing together and learning from each other and taking things and morphing them into new and better ways of doing things. So again, I'm very happy to connect with each and every one of you at any time, whether it's events, auctioneering, nonprofit, strategic planning, anything. I'm here, no commitment, just happy to connect and help in any way I can. And again, I just believe in the mission, the teamwork, fun fundraising, engaged planning, and have a successful mission-based event and organization. So thank you so much,
Perfect.
everyone. It was a pleasure.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Valley and Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, David. Thanks, Jay, for the invitation to come along here. Look, at the end of the day, whether you're a small group or a large group, we'd love to help with zero obligation to just talk fundraising. This is all we do, every single day of the year. And we look forward to having, because there's lots of fantastic questions in there. I was trying to keep up with them as best we can, but we move through it. So we'd love your interaction and look forward to answering those questions one-on-one and just sharing, some of the things of what we do.
There'll be many, many questions that will always come up. We're always learning. So thank you so much. I'm going to let you know, regarding the books and the giveaway. So we've got these two here. We're going to do this. I'm going to do this drawing offline afterwards, and then we'll follow up with you. And the reason for that is that we had so many people that stayed and then just had to jump, but I've got a list captured of everyone who was here at the key moment, and we will draw from that and send out a personal note to you. By the way, reach out to Arreva.com, MaestroSoft.com, drop a note to us or follow up on the email that comes out to you afterwards. We'll get you all connected. Again, thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful rest of the day and weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Have a great one.